Hello there YouTube, welcome back to Night's Arcade. I'm Sleepless Night, and I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 because who hasn't? I have a few early impressions of this game that I thought I'd share with you. If you want to hear them, don't go away. Firstly, let me start by saying that if you're a game developer that is not called Bethesda, Rockstar or Treyarch this week, we want you to know that we still love you and we'll be back. Secondly, I am going to try being unbiased and fair in my initial reactions to this game, but that isn't going to be easy, because the first few hours of Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption 2 aren't doing anything at all to dissuade me from a growing suspicion I've had over the past year that this game is going to be a very serious contender for my top 3 favourite video games of all time. Although, to be fair, that list is so far from being set in stone that I only say 3 because I can never make up my mind. Now, having said all that, let me start off with a few minor negatives. The game's opening is almost painfully slow, and in true Rockstar style there is a lot of following people around during those first 2 hours. I'm not generally the kind of gamer who hops back and forth between 7 or 8 games over the course of a week. Once I find a game I like, I tend to stay in there for a very long time. It is only this channel which is now encouraging me to do otherwise, so a new game takes me an hour or two to settle into, kind of like walking in a pair of stiff brand new shoes. And even though I know this, I almost always temporarily forget it when I start a brand new open-world RPG, so I was initially worried by the intro to this game, which to me at least felt like I was wading around in waist-high treacle. The movement, though very fluid, felt very, very slow indeed at first. Riding, walking, looking through cupboards. It all looked very much more natural than any game I can ever remember, but it felt like I was being constrained by an elasticated leash that Rockstar simply would not let me off. I had my suspicions that this was simply true of the opening tasks, and also possibly, and somewhat impressively if true, because I was moving through a foot of snow in a freezing blizzard. So I took to Twitter for a chat with Roxy at Sexy Biscuit, who was playing ahead of me by about 2 hours or so, to ask if this improves, and of course, she quite rightly informed me that hell yeah, that improves. I think what she actually said was that improves after about 2.5 hours and you will love it, and she wasn't wrong. Once through the opening couple of hours of cutscenes and tutorial missions, the world opens up to you, and what a world this is. I acquired an Xbox One X just in time for Fallout 76 Beta and Red Dead Redemption 2, so it is possible that I'm still being wowed by the difference between that and the old Xbox One, but this is the prettiest game I have ever seen on a console. The landscapes are breathtaking, the voice acting is superb, the sound design first class, and the minute details in almost everything you see are a wonder in themselves. But most importantly, the gameplay is intuitive, addictive, and thoroughly enjoyable. The movement of your character is so fluid that it's easy to lose your feet and end up somewhere you didn't necessarily intend, finding yourself up a ladder, standing by a water tower, as we all are in real life at some point during the day. Every effort has been made by Rockstar to maintain immersion in this detailed world and make things seem as natural as possible. Shopping is, for the most part, done through beautifully designed catalogues found on shop counters, which Arthur must pick up, thumb through, and actually read. Climbing ladders and walking through doors is as simple and fluid as walking up to them. No button presses are necessary, and almost every building you will encounter can be entered, and where it can't, Arthur will at least try the door, and if unsuccessful, even shoulder the door rather than simply failing to interact with it. Almost every person you encounter can be interacted with, although the possible interactions, accessed through a left trigger hold, can sometimes feel limited and somewhat vague. The whole feeling of this game is one of fluidity and intuition. If you ever looked at something in a video game through the prism of your real-life brain and thought, wait, surely I should be able to do this, right? Chances are you can do it in Red Dead Redemption 2. Let's say for the sake of argument, that you recently, and with the casual cold-heartedness of an undead cat with the mind of a wasp, shot a completely innocent fisherman 4 times in the face because you might suddenly crave salmon for dinner next week instead of raccoon jerky, and it would have taken you almost 7 minutes to ride to the nearest store and buy a fishing rod. Lifting his bloody corpse so that you can get to his fishing rod is obviously going to stain that jacket if you don't get the blood out. So what do? You run it under the tap. Or, if you're standing by an enormous lake, you go for a bit of a swim. You can do pretty much anything you'd think you might be able to do in a sprawling, open wilderness, assuming you're prepared to live with the consequences. Furthermore, those same lifelike intuitive mechanics often won't let you get away with doing something you wouldn't get away with doing in the real world. Don't walk behind a nervous horse. Don't turn your back on a man pointing a gun at you. Don't follow a drunken priest anywhere, but most especially not across a railway bridge.
Help me!
Now, for a game world to be enjoyable, there obviously have to be limits to the realism. As a former firearms instructor, I find it remarkable that you can inspect, personalise and clean your weapons, but slightly infuriating that cleaning your gun involves lightly wiping the outside of it with an oily cloth. And I seem to suffer none of the usual scarring or skull splitting open like a hammered watermelon often associated with being kicked in the face by a very large horse. Furthermore, the fluidity of character control in this game, though immersive and wonderful, can sometimes lead to unfortunate consequences when the character you are fluidly controlling is a violent, trigger-happy outlaw. Especially if the person controlling that character is an absent-minded YouTube gamer with roughly the same capacity for retaining controller layout information as a chocolate egg has for retaining molten lead. I accidentally punched a man in the face whilst trying to get him back onto a train early on in my game because I had forgotten which button I actually needed. Fortunately, I remembered quite easily how to shoot him in the back as he tried to run away. Then later, whilst trying desperately to remember which button it was that I had accidentally used to punch that man in the face, my panicked button mashing accidentally brought a fistfight to an abrupt end with a move that would have looked impossibly cool had I actually done it on purpose. I still have a very long journey ahead of me in Red Dead Redemption 2, and I am looking forward to every second of it. It can be a little tricky in places, but if you pick up new game controls quicker than I do, and let's face it, who doesn't, I predict this will be a thoroughly enjoyable and immersive game experience that will stay with you for a very long time. I'm going to dive back into Red Dead Redemption 2 and probably a little Fallout 76 beta later on tonight, so until next time we meet, you can check me out on Twitter if you want to come down and join in the conversation there at Knights_Arcade. Most people there, understandably, are currently discussing, at least in my circle, Fallout 76 and Red Dead Redemption 2. As far as this channel goes, do the usual things, give it a like. If you're not subscribed already and you'd like to check out some of my other videos, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of this video, and perhaps what videos you'd like to see from me in the future. But until next time, from Knights Arcade, this is Sleepless Night, saying nighty-night.